quorum. Great. Let's do a, well, actually, let me call the meeting to order. Apologies. This is June 2nd. Welcome, everyone, to the Smart Cities and Service Improvements Committee meeting. I'd like to just review our code of conduct before we begin. And I'll do that by just reminding both committee members and members of the public to follow our code of conduct at the meeting. This includes commenting on the specific agenda item only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with the chair, council members, or staff. All members of the committee staff and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, may result in removal from the meeting. So the committee meeting is now called to order, and can we get a roll call?
Foley.
Here.
Jones.
Present.
Liccardo. Cohen. Mahan.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we just made it. Well, great to see everybody. Thank you for being here. And Rob, I'm going to turn it over to you to give us a quick walkthrough of the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. I'm Chairperson Mahan, Mayor Liccardo, Vice Mayor Jones, committee members and members of the public. Rob Lloyd, Deputy City Manager for the City of San Jose. For our June meeting, City staff will present 3 items. First, under agenda item D1, we have an annual update on the IT strategic plan. City Council accepted the 21-23 IT strategic plan in August of 2021. The Information Technology Department updates this committee at least annually on the status of implementing the goals and core measures of that plan in support of the city roadmap, and as council and the city manager update their key priorities. Khaled Tawfiq, our City Chief Information Officer, will present that item. Second, under agenda item D2, we have a report on the city's adoption of management and data platforms to both support operations and progress on priority initiatives. This includes achieving Vision Zero safety goals on the city roadmap. Jesse Mintz-Roth and Vince Pereira of the Department of Transportation will present that item. And last, on D3, we have a status update on the conclusion of a set of goals the Information Technology Department set near the end of 2016 to improve the climate footprint of the city's technology operations and practices. Khaled Tawfiq, City Chief Information Officer, and Ed Kim, Deputy Chief Information Officer, will present that item. And with that, Khaled, if you want to kick us off with your presentation.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon, Chairperson Mahan, Mayor Liccardo, Vice Mayor Jones, committee members, and members of the public. My name is Khaled Tawfiq, Chief Information Officer, and we are here to present the IT Strategic Plan Status Report. The IT Strategic Plan was developed based on the city's budget priorities, the city's roadmap, and conducting over 110 interviews with council members, department directors, and staff. We have also consulted with the Infotech research to validate our IT strategic plan and ensure our recommendations are in line with the industry standards. The IT plan sets the direction for IT investment, and it's updated every 3 years. City Council approved the IT strategic plan back in August 2021. The IT plan incorporates the IT strategic the IT work plan incorporates the IT strategic plan, priority changes as we go through the years to ensure responsiveness to the growing IT needs in the city. This is an overview, one page to go over or to highlight the IT strategic plan. And as you can see, the plan consists of 5 strategic initiatives to ensure we providing to enable equity, provide secure services, optimize services and processes in the city, utilize the power of digital services, and promote partnership to deliver city roadmap priorities. We have defined strategic measures to monitor our progress throughout the years. Some of our measurements, as you can see on the screen, include employee customer satisfaction. Our goal is to achieve 80% or higher, and we are currently at 93%. Our project delivery or ability to deliver projects on time and meet the customer expectations is defined to be at 80%, and we are currently meeting that objective. Our infrastructure or IT infrastructure reliability is defined, or the goal was to be at 99.9. Currently, we are at 99.6 and working toward the 99.6 goal. Our 311 customer satisfaction is currently at 67%. What we have noticed that if we exclude the abandoned vehicle surveys, our resident satisfaction rate increases 76%. We are currently working on improving internal processes to enhance how we handle abandoned vehicle service requests. We expect once we address these enhancements, that our satisfaction is going to increase closer to the objective of 70%. Currently, 33% of the 311 service requests are generated from areas identified as underserved. Our goal is to achieve 37%. We are working on an outreach program to increase awareness and increase utilization of these 311 services in underserved communities. Currently, also our IT vacancies at 18%, and we have identified a goal to bring down the vacancy rate to 9% or less. As I stated before, that we consulted with the Infotech search group to help us validate our strategic plan and also make a recommendation based on what they see in the best industry practice. This is one of the recommendations that they have identified for us to increase our efficiency, since we are a very lean IT group in the city. Some of the things that we're going to be working on, as in service portfolio management, is service desk and incident management, and also we're developing application to increase productivities in the city, and various other projects that we're going to be focusing on in year 22-23. The other recommendation that they have made is to setting up an emergency service technology office within the ITD department. In light of the current police reform initiatives, we put this recommendation on hold until future years. This is the previous roadmap for this current year, 21-22, and the areas highlighted in yellow signifies projects and activities IT has been engaged to ensure or completing or achieving the roadmap for the city as it was identified in 21-22. This is the current process or the current status of these activities. Project on the right-hand side highlighted in blue are projects that have been completed, and active projects on the left-hand side, some of them are late or delayed, and some of them highlighted in red, where we need to pay more attention to make sure that we get these projects back on track. These projects that we did not complete from this current year will be added to the next IT plan to make sure that we complete them, in addition to the new project that we have identified for current year or for year 22-23. The current city roadmap for 22-23 also includes a lot of activities where IT can help the city achieve its objectives. These areas are highlighted in yellow, and during the year, we will be developing system solutions and support to make sure that IT provides the necessary equipment and solutions to for divisions to meet their objectives and meet the city's roadmap. These are some of the projects that we have identified for year 22-23, and some of them, or all of them, are aligned with the city roadmap, including the vehicle blight management system and some other systems that we, as you can see on the screen.
Michael Foster. Exactly.
I think somebody has his microphone on.
The city clerk muted. Khaled, keep going.
Thank you. The IT organization is primarily centralized, and we have about 103 positions in ITD. And this is highlight of the different functions and areas that with the number of positions in each function. In addition, there are about 92 positions outside the city, outside the IT division, and these are highlighted on the right-hand side of the presentation. Major changes that happening this year is increases in the budget or the investment in the new EOC system or the new EOC building or infrastructure. That includes new equipment and also additional staffing to provide the support. We are moving the office innovation from the city manager's office into ITD, and that includes the broadband and the Office of Equity. Equity as a lead to move from the city managers into ITD. And this concludes my presentation, and we're available to answer any questions and feedback.
Great, thank you, Khalid, and I hope you're settling in well. It sure seems like it from your great update there. Why don't we head over to members of the public for public comment. As soon as we get the timer up. Great. Mr. Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Happy beginning of the month, Smart Cities meeting time. To comment on, IT practices, how to better, work on such practices. It's called 311, I think, what you're using now for people to call into, and a number that you can use. And I know there's a lot of data issues and concerns, data collection concerns that you practice and such. I think the initial studies that you did on 311 issues a few years ago, I just wanted to thank yourselves for that work and really what it can build for our future. And just a reminder of all those studies of the past few years that we're now starting to apply, that just simply they're helpful to a future community process that addresses the questions of Reimagine. Interestingly, very interestingly, we were doing this work before Reimagine. And so good luck in those continued efforts and what that means and what that needs. And I think it's a great example for other cities of the Bay Area. Just a reminder of that. And my second reminder is that from last month's meeting, you had items that, you showed, your roadmap of where things are at. And all the things that needed to be worked on were basically accountability and open public policy for the future of cybersecurity issues, IoT issues, kind of what you were labeling here today. And just a reminder that we have to learn to more, we're practicing well, we have to learn to more openly talk about, when we need to work on open public policy ideas and accountability practices. We're trying to make those steps now, but we're still a bit too afraid just to casually and openly talk about it. And it's important to the process. Good luck how you can do that, and I hope that can help this item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's come back to the committee. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Chair Khalid. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about the customer satisfaction rating, and I know that you said that.
Excuse me, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we mute? Great, thank you. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
No worries. So you said that abandoned vehicles were dragging down the customer satisfaction scores, and I'm just trying to understand how IT can impact that, because I imagine that a big part of the customer satisfaction is the fact that these abandoned vehicles aren't being removed. So I'm just trying to understand how IT can impact that satisfaction score.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for your question. Two things that we're working on to improve the customer satisfaction. One, we are examining how the tickets are being triaged to the departments to make sure that the appropriate department is receiving the ticket in a timely manner so they can work on it, and make sure that there is no gap in communication between the 311 team and the departments that provide the service. So that's one. And the other part is also doing the outreach just to make sure that the public is aware of these services, so we can get more of the requests that we can handle through the improved services or improved new processes. So primarily, it's how we manage the incoming calls and how it's being triaged to the department. This is something that we are examining to see how we can increase the efficiency and eliminate any gap between 311 team and the departments responsible for providing that service.
Right. Isn't it also part of it just saying customer expectations? So, DOT has a specific criteria of the kind of vehicle that would get towed versus the ones that wouldn't, and properly setting the customer's expectations that, they're reporting the vehicle. If it doesn't meet that criteria, that it's not going to be removed. So therefore, just again, setting their expectations. Is that a big part of it?
That's a great point. Part of what we're trying to do is to identify what services departments can provide and what services we cannot provide. That way, when the customer calls, we immediately let them know that this is not something that we can do, and this is the responsibility of another agency, or this is not something legally that we can perform. So that way, as you stated well, that this is setting the expectation of the customers, so they don't have to wait for a day or two and then to find out that this is not something that we do. So the more we inform and document the process, the less confusion and the more upfront we can be with the public and letting them know that this is something that city can handle or not.
Great, thanks. And Rob, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, Vice Mayor, thanks. So we do have an initiative based on the city roadmap to bring in all the departments and redesign the process in at least 4 ways. One is improvement on that messaging. The other is to handle people living in cars differently and put them into a different queue rather than treating it as an abandoned vehicle, which it is not. And then also to plug in better with police and code enforcement where there's hazards. And then underneath that, there's an initiative of where we might need to change the rules so that we might be able to be more responsive to some of the things that are emerging, mainly through Beautify SJ and the patterns that we see. So that item on the city roadmap is a multi-departmental initiative encapsulating what Khaled talked about, but to improve the performance and customer satisfaction on specifically the vehicle blight item.
Great, thanks. I appreciate that. And I'm also, Rob, glad that you mentioned changing the rules, because I think that will go a long way to addressing this issue as well. So thank you. That's it, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate those great questions. And I think it's really valuable that, as everyone was just articulating, the data that is being surfaced through 311 is enabling us to then go back to the fulfillment side at the departmental level and refine how we're delivering services to our residents. So I think it's great that we're doing that loop closing, and we're going back upstream, if you will, and figuring out how to improve how we're communicating and delivering services to improve the objective measure of success here, which is that people feel like we're solving their problems. So that's great to see. I had one other question, which was around vacancies, and that was the one metric that stood out to me as being particularly concerning. And I was just wondering if you can just help us understand a little bit about how we're doing recruiting. Are we being as proactive as we can be? Do we feel that we have enough resources devoted to recruiting and hiring? My own experience as an employer is that if you don't make it the #1 priority, you can really fall behind and struggle with vacancies. And so I'm curious how the department is thinking about closing that gap.
Thank you for the question. It is a critical and a big challenge for us because we have to compete for the talents in San Jose. So we are working very closely with Human Resources Department to identify how we can make the process easier for the applicants to apply. 2, we are reaching out to all our new hires and all our employees in IT to promote positions, to make it the responsibility for everybody in ITD to promote the opening positions or availability and reach out to friends, ex-co-workers, anybody that might be interested. And the third one is really putting a lot of efforts on the internship program to make sure that senior students have the opportunity to work in government and get really to the sweetness of understanding how how it feels to serve the public and gaining knowledge in technology. So we're hoping by simplifying the process to apply, increasing, promoting the availability or vacancies to friends and family, and in addition to working with schools, we believe that this is going to increase our ability to widen the net to reach out to more people, and hopefully through that we're going to increase the qualifying pool and attract more people to come join the city and ITT in this area.
Great. Those all sound like excellent strategies. Just one quick follow-up, which is when we post a new opening, to what extent are we passively, obviously we're posting to job boards and whatnot, but to what extent are we passively waiting for candidates to come to us when they are looking for a job versus proactively reaching out to folks who might be a good fit for the role, even if they are not looking for a job?
I think you hit it on the nail that the old traditional way of posting a job and hoping people to see it and be interested these days are gone. What we are looking for is to look at people in our industry, people that we know to have the skill sets, and reach out to them to let them know either through LinkedIn or directly through email or phone calls to say, hey, this is the city has this opening. Are you interested? Do you know anybody else is going to be interested? It is really on us, every person in IT, to take this responsibility to do as much outreach as we can, because this is the only way that we'll be going to be able to reach the new communities or new professionals that we did not reach to them through the traditional methods in the past. So that's something that we're really looking at. And also, we had a work session with our interns, and we asked them, why do you like working for the city? What can we do to increase the interest of new grads to work for the city? And they recommended a lot of things, like what you guys have, like sessions, come speak in our classes, introduce the concept of working for city and civic service to the students before they graduate. So that's some of the things we're learning from our interns, and we will work with them to see how we can be more attractive or more appealing to senior students and new grads.
Great. I'm glad to hear that's our mindset, that we're taking a proactive stance. I've certainly found that to be necessary, and glad to hear we're thinking that way. That's great. Well, thank you. I don't see any other hands up. Could I ask my colleagues for a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Thank you. Let's vote.
Foley,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Mahan.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, great. We're on to our second item, which is the status report on smart data platforms. And I believe we have Vince and Jesse joining us for this one.
Correct, Chair. As part of the city's 2020 Vision Zero Action Plan to reduce traffic fatalities and injuries, staff from the Department of Transportation have been working to develop an insights dashboard to allow city staff to analyze where best to focus roadway safety investments. Today's presentation will be given by Vince Pereira, Information Technology Manager, and Jesse Mintz-Roth, Vision Zero Program Manager, both from the Department of Transportation. Jesse, I think, are you leading? Or Vince? Vince is leading off, I believe.
Yes, thanks, Rob. I believe Jesse will be handling the slides. Good afternoon, Chairman and Mayor Ricardo, Vice Mayor Jones, council members, and the members of our esteemed public. Vince Pereira, Information Technology Manager for the Department of Transportation. I will be speaking briefly on some of the technical aspects of our projects that we have going on, both internally and our external partnership with Urban Logic. And Jesse, my colleague, will also be speaking in depth about some Vision Zero statistics that we've accumulated over the partnership, probably for the past 9 to 12 months. Next slide, please. So this is a summary of what we just said, encapsulating what Rob just mentioned as well. This is the Smart Cities Data Platform. And then the next slide. Rob, sorry. So here we have a quick status of some milestones that we achieved over the past year. We have an internal platform and an external platform, as I've been speaking about in previous meetings. The first 2 points here Just a little bit of background there. This has a lot to do with the work that we've been doing for the past 2 to 3 years as far as consolidating our data, cleaning our data, and making it organized so that we could actually take it to the next level of analytics. That's enabled us to hit the first bullet point. We've been able to automate our backend processes for our internal platform. So this basically enables us to take more data sets and add it to get more comprehensive results. So that's been a huge benefit within the pipelines that we've been working with. Second bullet is by organizing our data the way we have it, we now have secure pipelines to not only go into our central data repository, we also can migrate or move this data over to our Urban Logic central repository as well. The third bullet is where we've been able to work with Urban Logic, and they've completed their architecture and design for the core functional data layers. I'll speak a little bit more in depth with this further on down in the slides. And then through the efforts that we've worked with them for the past 9 to 12 months, our planning department has completed their phase 1 key performance indicators, and our Vision Zero team has completed phase 1 of their use cases around safety. Next slide, please. Right here is a snapshot of our timelines that we're looking at and targeting. The first part is something that I covered in the first slide, but I'll cover this almost in every slide because this is the most important part of our data platform. It's a data repository, how clean our data is, and then the data engineering piece is where Urban Logic has created a layer to normalize our data. So if we didn't have this, all the other parts of the data system would not be accurate, may not be relevant, and it may not be clean. So by establishing this over the past couple of years, this has been a huge accomplishment for us. The next piece is our data analysis process. So probably for the next 2 to 3 months, our transportation specialists will be working with the Urban Logic tool and analyzing all the outputs that they've actually retrieved. They're going to do a deep dive to really fully understand and do their due diligence on what the data means and how that can improve and impact the city. After that, they're going to be working with the data science team within Urban Logic from the fall of this year through March of 2023 of next year. During that time frame, they're actually going to be working on designing what we call machine learning algorithms that's going to actually build the intelligence into the data platform itself. From there, in April of 2023, that's going to give us the predictive modeling and the predictions and the intelligence that we've all been waiting for. So this is actually going to take the expertise of the transportation specialist. It's going to take the data science of Urban Logic, and this is where we're going to be looking at different results based on different scenarios and put in assumptions there to have predictions at that point. And this is going to hopefully expedite our addressing all the different needs that we have to address within the city in a more effective and efficient way. The last piece of this is our visualizations. These are the graphs, the charts, the visuals that actually could help us make those decisions based on the data analysis. And the next slide, please. This slide, I really want to speak about the layers. I've spoken about this before, but this is why data analytics is so complicated. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not how fast we could do this, it's how well we could do this. We want to make sure we do our due diligence from start to finish so that when we do produce some analytics, it's accurate, it's consistent, it's meaningful. So when you look at the first 2 layers, we have our data repository, which is storing the data. We have our data engineering layer, which is normalizing the data. Normalizing the data makes it clean and consistent so that if one use case app accesses the data, another use case will see the data in the exact same way. The data science layer is the next layer up, and this is our machine learning layer. This is where our transportation specialists and urban logic data scientists are going to actually write the system algorithms to do the thinking for us based on the information that we provide, based on the assumptions that we're looking at. And then that leads to the predictions and intelligence model of what we're really aiming for. So this is going to get us to a point where right now we have the information. We get a group of engineers and specialists within the room. We start to look at the data and manually analyze it. This will make us more efficient by doing most of that work for us, where we just take the visualizations and then we could make the decisions out of that. A good example of predictions that we've already been doing, we've been taking before and after results for some of the traffic safety quick builds that we've been working on. And that's giving us some insight as far as what the impact actually is. Is it creating an impact in a positive way or a negative way, and that sort of thing. And so we want to make sure that we use this information so that we could ensure that we're looking at it through an equity lens, we're looking at it through a safety lens, and that's going to help us predict the highest impact that we could do with the dollars that we have to spend. And the next slide, please. This slide right here is just a sample set of what we're doing with our internal system. Again, just really briefly, our internal system is what we've developed in-house. It's a Power BI front end. And the internal system is a point-in-time snapshot of where we are today. It doesn't necessarily do predictions. We look at the data and then we analyze it and we predict what we should be doing, or we should look at areas that we should be focusing on based off the data. Our external system, once our internal system matures, it's also acting as an incubation area where we're testing out different scenarios to make sure that we're validating the data. It's accurate, it's consistent, there's no gray areas, things like that. Once we do that, then we port the data over to Urban Logic, and then that goes into our advanced analytics system. Then it'll take this information, combine it with the other information that we have, and it will be a more comprehensive intelligence prediction model at that point. But this particular slide just shows you some of our traffic safety projects that we have going on. This was from 2019 until April 2022. This is based off of the American Community Survey, the ACS 2019 survey, which is our census tract data. This took into account race and income to provide equity scores. Then we had our projects that were lined up against that, and the allocated budget that was lined up against the equity scored areas. And through that, we basically can take this, look at it through an equity lens, see if we're focusing on the right areas, if we're focusing on the incorrect areas, how do we correct that? Again, this is a snapshot that we do for various things. This is just a sample. We could put in other equity type of variables in here. We could have a map layer of council districts. There's many different things we could do since we have this clean in the back end of our central repository. We could feed the system and it could actually come out with some pretty comprehensive results at that point. So with that, I will hand it over to my colleague José to go into a more deeper dive into our Vision Zero statistics that we've accomplished over the past year.
Thank you, Vince. I will continue then. So to talk about the Vision Zero data initiatives and connect it back to that first slide, this is the roadmap item for Vision Zero, which includes insights for transportation planning and addressing crashes and fatalities. For those of you who don't frequently see me present, a little introduction to Vision Zero is that we are the city's traffic fatality reduction initiative. And we look at the city's traffic fatalities on the high level, and with this tool on a much more sort of zeroed down detailed level as well, with the ability to look at these numbers more closely. But on the high level, San Jose's traffic fatalities have doubled in the last 10 years, from a low of 29 in 2012 to a high of 60 in 2015, 2019, and 2021. On the right side of this slide, you can see the range of fatality numbers month by month cumulatively for the 2016 to 2025 year range. And then more specifically, the most recent years, 2021 in blue and 2022 in yellow. The pandemic has been an unusual time for data, I'm sure in all areas, but here too. And what we saw in 2021 is an inflection point around the time that the state's economy reopened in June 2021, where the fatality line was going below or in the usual range until June. And then beyond June, it started going above the range, and we were quite concerned. And we look at this data publicly in the Vision Zero Task Force quarterly. So it was something that we do discuss a lot publicly. At the end of the year for 2021, we ended at the same peak that we'd reached in 2 previous years. But in 2022, beginning this year, the line has been above where we've been in recent years, and we are concerned and interested to see what we can analyze and what we can do. So moving on, I wanted to talk a little bit about the data. If you look at it in the council district level, on the council district level, District 7 has the highest number of traffic fatalities, followed by District 3. And currently in this 5-year data set of 2017 to 2021, there is a tie for Districts 2 and 5 for 3rd place. And to tie this back to that equity map, similar, or an equity map that is similar to the one that Vince just showed, District 7 scores highly in those equity measures. So a little bit more on District 7, because that sets up the type of query that we can do in Urban Logic to get more insights. And so just a little bit about Urban Logic. We began working with Urban Logic in a pilot project in 2018, 2019, and among the data science finds in that early analysis was that there was a correlation between crashes and land use. And San Jose and Urban Logic won a American Planning Association Technology Division Smart City Merit Award in 2019. And then we decided inside DOT to create a Startup in Residence RFP, which ran between 2019 and 2020, and Urban Logic ended up winning that. And so that began a 3-year project, which we're now about a year and change into. And this tool, which we're going to be talking about how it helps our Vision Zero analyses, it allows staff project managers who may not have GIS or may not know how to use GIS the ability to take their project area and analyze it and be able to find where crashes are clustered. And not just crashes, we'll show in this slide, also the severity of crashes. So, we, inside the Department of Transportation, there are only a handful of people who know GIS well, but we have over 190 registered users now on the Urban Logic platform. And so we're going to use the example of District 7, which we already raised as having the highest fatalities year to year in the last 5 years. So imagine that you are, or that we have the group that is wanting to do pedestrian safety enhancements inside District 7, which is one of the other groups in my same part of the division, or under my division manager. And they, in this map, have mapped crashes, the 5-year period from 2016 to 2020 in District 7, and they've aggregated them by intersection. And then we've used the color count of what we called killed and severely injured, or KSI. So this color, so the size of the circle indicates more crashes, and the color blue is fewer killed and severely injured, and yellow and pink is more. So what this highlights is that some of the intersections of particular interest in District 7 are Capitol Expressway and Center, Center and Tully Road at Kirtner and Monterey, also McLaughlin and Tully, in McLaughlin, and let's see here, Capital Expressway, and so on. So that this just helps us identify with this investment in the data, the ability to run a somewhat simple search and find these locations. And an example of what you could build there, this is one of the intersections that was highlighted in the last search. This is Monterey Road at Kirtner Tully, and that was the location in 2021 where we had the most fatalities. There were 3 pedestrian fatalities at this intersection. Without getting too deeply into the specific treatments here, we were able to build these quickly, which is the idea of quick build, our current strategy. And these, we made improvements on the north leg where most of the fatalities occurred. That is a pedestrian fence, which you see on the top right of this slide. That is to discourage people from crossing outside the crosswalk. And the image on the bottom left is a curb extension, and that helps drivers to turn more slowly and make more normalized turns, more slower turns, which would increase the visibility of seeing a pedestrian in the conflicting crosswalk to the right. And then also a buffered bike lane, which also has the benefit of narrowing the travel lane, which is one of the ways in which we slow people from speeding. So when we map the places where fatal and severe injuries cluster, in Vision Zero, we call this our Parity safety corridors, and this is a map of those. Within urban logic, though, we're able to look at them with finer grain and see that even among the Parity safety corridors, that some of them have more KSI on them. And those are the ones that are shown here in the pinker colors. And so, for example, you can see in this image that Monterey Road and Capital Expressway are among those ones that have more KSI. But an additional feature of urban logic is that we can also see them in list form. So this shows specifically that Monterey Road between Alma Avenue and Bernal Road has 46 KSI, and Capital Expressway between the 680 freeway and Route 87 has 44, for example. So those are some of the insights that we're able to easily bring up. Now I'm going to get into a more complicated search. In our 2021 traffic fatality data, the year in which we had 60 traffic fatalities, every year we present these insights at the Transportation Environment Committee and also in the Vision Zero Task Force. So, we try on the high level to figure out what the major themes are that can be the focus of our investment in the coming months. We found, for example, that 48% of them occurred on our Parity safety corridors, which is higher than typical. And that helps, it helps support our main strategy to invest in the Parity safety corridors. We found among the Parity safety corridors that most of them occurred on Monterey Road in 2021. And some of these other insights that I have highlighted are that 23 or 38% of them involved people walking. And among that number, a large percent of them occurred in darkness. Just a little bit more for context is that people killed while walking are the largest fatality group by road user type. So in the last 5 years, 114 of the 267 people who have been killed in traffic fatalities died while walking. Another point is about high speed and speeding. So of the traffic fatalities in 2021, so there were 60 of them, and we're looking at the rightmost column here. 53 of them occurred on roads that had a posted speed limit of 35 or above, and so that represents 88%. And if you look at among people killed while walking, 20 of the 23, that's 87%, occurred on these higher speed posted roadways. And that trend of the high percentage occurring on the high speed roads if holds for the last 5 data years. So then in urban logic, we can take that intel and build a complicated query. And so in this map, we're looking at fatal and severe injuries involving people walking on roads with a posted speed limit of 35 to 50 miles an hour. And so this map indicates that, you know, if we are to work on making investments specifically in this area, that Urban Logic is able to help us find that we should be focusing on Tully Road between 101 and Capitol Expressway, and also on Story Road, and also on McKee Road, also between 101 and Capitol Expressway on the east side, and also on Monterey Road, basically south of 280. So those are some of the insights they were able to learn from the Urban Logic platform for Vision Zero. And we'd like to acknowledge our team all working on this. We have Vince and myself here, and Tao Nguyen from my team, and William Harmon from Vince's team. And on this slide, we have Herman, but we also on the panel right now have Mark. So if there are any questions for Urban Logic, I'm sure that he can also help us. And I just want to thank both of them, but also the whole Urban Logic team. There are a lot more people at Urban Logic who work on this all the time. So it's been great to develop the platform and this use case with them. And so we will take questions and feedback.
Thank you, Vince and Jesse, and apologies. My home internet just went out, and I am just switching over to my phone. Apologies for the disruption there. Really appreciate the report and the ways that we're using data analytics to get at a really serious problem in our community. Why don't we head over to public comment and invite members of the public to speak. I actually am not able to see that on my phone. Vice Mayor, would you mind managing that, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
First public speaker is Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Roy Beekman here. Thanks a lot for this item. We're really trying to clear the air with what can be how the future of KSI statistics will be in San Jose. Thank you for reporting 18 unhoused and 23 pedestrians have been killed in the past, I guess, year. I hope that number is accurate. It's my guess it's possible that a few more of those pedestrians killed could be labeled as unhoused, and that we are really dealing with, this is the first time we're able to talk about unhoused being included in KSI statistics. So things are new to us, and we don't know how to quite get offer that to the public, to ourselves, and to the future of city government or state government funding. We don't quite know how to work those statistics. We've had a long time fight now the past few years. How are we going to better able to label these things and be open about it? I hope, good luck in working towards a better honesty with KSI statistics where we can all be very clear with each other. That's the goal. And good luck how we can do that. It's good attempts here today. Thank you. I wanted to also mention ideas about just the flexibility and choices that accountability can offer for, say, Vision Zero projects. Want to report on civil protection ideas and to study those guidelines really helps bring better decisions for the future of Vision Zero projects, I feel. So, it's good open public policies, accountability, and civil protection ideas that can really help those things. And how also to procure local government itself. When we bring in government workers, if they have good open public policy ideas and it's accountability, and we have that good policy, that helps everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Molly next.
Good afternoon. My name is Molly Macleod, and I'm calling as the parent of my son who was killed as a pedestrian on the streets in San Jose in 2018. I want to express my appreciation for Jesse, who had reached out to me. I was the first family member that had ever spoken to their team and allowed them to ask questions of me about this experience so that they approach it from a more heartfelt place, as well as the statistics that are extremely important. One of the things that I also appreciate about DOT is that They have highlighted the disability justice book, children's book, We Move Together, and had used that as part of their pedestrian safe with schools. In terms of the smart cities, some of the questions that I have are for presentations. Are you always using the accessibility checker? Wanting to make sure that the city consistently moves towards accessible presentations. And there's some things that make me wonder that at times. I am appreciative of the way that this slide shows the countdown, but also the item. With regards to Urban Logic, when I go to the website, I don't see accessibility statement, nor do I see any VPATs, voluntary accessibility program templates. I'm curious about the level of accessibility. City of San Jose has a standard now for web, but it's not necessarily included with robustness in the procurement process. That's a topic that I've been raising for a while. And so I'd love to hear about that to make sure that not only the public can access this fabulous information, but also employees with disabilities. Thank you so much for your consideration and the work that you're doing on a topic that is important to all of us.
Thank you, Molly, and I'm so incredibly sorry to hear about your loss. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And Jesse, I know we don't typically respond to public comment, but did you want to comment on any of the notes that Molly offered there?
Was that a question for me? Well, just thank you for your comment, Molly. Obviously, you've commented on some of our other meetings, so I guess we'll work.
Jesse, I think you're muted. Yeah, I didn't know if you were.
Can other people hear me?
I think there's a lag. Keep going.
We can.
Oh, okay.
Follow up offline.
Okay. Yes. I just wanted to thank Molly for her comments. I don't know if we have many things to comment on in response. So, but also thank you for We Move Together, the book that you mentioned.
I'll quickly address the comment and thank you, Molly. I believe we spoke quickly last time on a previous Smart City session, and you did flag at the time as well about the accessibility issue for Urban Logic. So just a little insight into where we are at that stage. We actually have a new design team and a new website process that's underway. That actually starts in, I believe, the following Monday. So that's one of the items that you raised, and we put it into the product, or at least our internal company development process to incorporate accessibility standards into both our product and our company website. So thank you for that. That initiative was undertaken by us at your urging. So appreciate a little bit more patience, but it is underway.
Great. Thanks for commenting on that. And I apologize again. We have a power outage here according to PG&E, which is why I'm now running the meeting by phone. I apologize. I don't see any other hands up. Do any of my colleagues want to ask any questions or comment on the report?
Matt, I don't have a question, or Chair, I don't have a question, but I just want to just commend staff for all the hard work. I remember it was about more than 4 years ago when we were just, first discussing this and the concept and the ability to do predictive modeling, and to see where we are now, it's really exciting. I know that once we complete the process that we're going to be able to save lives, and that's the most important thing. It just, unfortunately, that's not going to happen while I'm serving on the council, but I am looking forward to seeing when this whole operation is up and running and we're able to do some really cool things with the predictive modeling. So on that, I want to make a motion to accept staff's report.
Second.
Thank you. And before we vote, I just have one follow-up question, which is, do we have enough data at this point in San Jose to look back at the mitigations that we've implemented and understand which ones seem to be having the biggest impact, and if there are some that maybe aren't working and we should move away from? I mean, is there is there enough data to kind of know where we should be focused when we're trying to make an intersection safer, for example?
Generally, yes. I'd say that we are working more on evaluations, and so that is an area that we're building the capacity to do. They require data that's in Urban Logic. They also require data that's not yet in Urban Logic. So we need to combine sources and collect some data outside the platform. So I guess that's a roundabout answer of saying yes, and we have some work to do to be able to do it on a large scale, but we are beginning to do it on the corridors that we've redesigned under Vision Zero. So for example, the first one that is a Vision Zero project that we're specifically planning to do this with is Center Road, and we are working on beginning that.
Great, thanks. I appreciate that, Jesse. I'm sure I speak for my colleagues, but say that I hope over time, as we continue to come back to this topic, that we're always learning and understanding what we. Yep. Vice Mayor, do you want to manage the meeting, please?
Okay. Mayor Liccardo?
Thank you. I'm sorry that I missed the presentation, so forgive me if I'm asking a question that's already been covered. But we're in budget season and a lot of different proposals are coming up, and one of them has been around red light running cameras, which I know we've considered in the past, in the last decade or so. But at the time we first considered it, didn't seem as though the data supported the notion that was red light running was a primary source of injury, collisions, or deaths that we are seeing, that they're generally under other circumstances. I'm just wondering, based on the data that you guys are looking at, if that has evolved, if what we're seeing is, the trends over the last decade, if red light running is now a major reason enough for us to be thinking about red light cameras.
I believe that the request to look into this data just came today, and so
yeah,
I'm not super. It's no problem.
Yeah,
I'm not prepared to give you a very detailed answer here. But I would say that in the scheme of things, it's the number 2 issue below speeding. But it is very similar to speeding on the high level. So I think that we'll follow up with you to give you the detailed answer.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot there, Jason. Thanks.
No problem.
That it, Mayor?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. If there's no other questions, then we have a motion and a second. So can we have a roll call vote, please?
Foley,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo.
Aye.
Mahan.
Aye.
Thank you.
You want me to keep going, Chair, or yeah? Well, let's keep going.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I apologize for the unexpected power outage, but if you could, Vice Mayor, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, we'll just blame PG&E. It's all good.
And Vice Mayor, I can introduce the next item. And that's the report on adopting climate smart practices and technology management to reduce energy consumption and e-waste. Khaled Tawfiq, our CIO, and Ed Kim, Deputy Chief Information Officer, will present this item. Khaled? And I think Glenn Reyes is also helping to present.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon, Chair Mehan and Mayor Liccardo, Vice Mayor Jones, committee members, and members of the public. My name is Khaled Tawfiq, Chief Information Officer. We are here to present the Green Information Technology Plan Status Report. Presenting with me is Ed Kim, Deputy Chief Information Officer, and Glenn Reyes, Enterprise Supervising Technology Analyst. Next slide, please. In 2018, City Council approved Climate Smart San Jose. The city's climate action plan aligned with the 2016 Paris Climate Agreement. The plan defined 3 strategic pillars, one of which focuses on building a sustainable and climate smart city. I will now turn it over to Ed.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Mann, Mayor Liccardo, Vice Mayor Jones, committee members and members of the public. Ed Kim, Deputy Chief Information Officer for the Information Technology Department. The 2018 Inventory of Government Operations Greenhouse Gas Emissions Report identified 6 major carbon emissions categories due to government operations. ITD identified goals and initiatives to focus on 2 of the categories that made up approximately 41% of the total emissions, and to potentially lower the total greenhouse gas emissions generated through city government operations. The buildings and facilities category could be addressed by reducing total power requirements for technology, and the employee commute category could be addressed by leveraging technology to reduce employee commute to work. What did ITD define as objectives to address these goals? ITD developed 4 green technology goals through the development of the ITD strategic plan. As we considered the technology initiatives for the next 5 years, these goals served as a major factor in the development of initiatives to ensure that IT was reducing greenhouse gas emissions and not adding to it. The first goal considered was to reduce any carbon impact caused by equipment. ITD approached its initiatives by taking the approach of consolidation and reduction when procuring new equipment. If there were opportunities or technologies that provided services more efficiently and with less equipment, all without compromising levels of service, this was the priority. The second was to reduce print consumables. The city generates large quantities of paper printouts. We wanted to see if there were approaches or strategies to reduce this number and save power and trees in the process. Third was to find ways to reduce e-waste. And finally, fourth was to reduce commute carbon impact. If there are technology standards or practices that we could employ citywide, the hope is to establish standards that gives the city the opportunity to potentially reduce emissions caused specifically by employee commutes. So how ITD attempted to accomplish this was through 4 specific initiatives to meet these goals. The first is cloud-based computing. Now, cloud computing takes traditional technology services that requires large quantities of on-premises physical servers and allows you to utilize either a network or the internet to store or manage or process data. A good example of public cloud is, for example, Office 365 email. The email service is provided through the internet cloud without requiring ITD to manage any equipment in our data center. And then there is also private cloud. This applies the same concept, but with ITD hosting a significantly smaller footprint of appliances to replace the hundreds of servers used to provide technology services to the city. The second initiative that IT took is device consolidation per employee. This effort was focused around limiting the number of devices per employee through device replacement, while making sure the replacement device can support a mobile workforce. The third initiative is to reduce paper printouts and paper copies. ITD wanted to find ways through new technologies to reduce the total amounts of paper required to conduct city business. And then the last initiative is to employ e-waste handling processes. ITD employed creative ways to process e-waste outside of just the traditional disposal of electronic equipment. Oops, excuse me. This slide demonstrates how each of the major infrastructure projects lined up with the green technology goals, each of which fell under one or in some cases multiple target goals. What we're going to be presenting today is each project in detail in the following slides to show you how they all tie together. For the cloud-based computing initiative, ITD initiated significant infrastructure replacement projects, some that even actually commenced prior to the Green Technology Initiative, but all in the effort of reducing the amount of physical equipment required to be managed in the City Hall data center. The most recent significant project completed was the installation of the city's private cloud, also referred to as Hyper-Converged Infrastructure, or HCI. This allowed us to reduce our physical server inventory by a total of 229 physical servers, reducing the total server appliances and required power by 65%. This, in turn, resulted in an annual decrease of carbon emissions of approximately 1,100 metric tons and approximately 1.5 million kilowatt hours saved annually. And that's the equivalent of potentially powering 140 homes in an entire year. IT also changed its telephony strategy by moving phone services to the cloud. This effort reduced total server equipment by 97%, resulting in a reduction of approximately 123 metric tons of carbon emissions and enough power savings in this case to power 16 homes for an entire year. And finally, the move to cloud storage had a significant impact to power consumption and physical footprint in the city data center. Now, while we don't have the specific emissions saved, the total reduction of required physical storage equipment was approximately reduced by 95%. So to provide some context, this reduction represents 12% of the entire data center physical footprint reduced as a result of cloud storage. The areas of focus under the device consolidation per employee initiative were specifically around replacing legacy equipment and reducing the total number of devices issued per employee. In addition, the COVID pandemic presented both requirements and opportunities to redefine the city's issued device standard as laptops going forward. ITD also started reclaiming extraneous devices from employees and recommended just a single issued laptop per employee. These initiatives, paired with strong mobile device standards, allowed for the city to have a framework that allows for and supports a mobile workforce, which actually aligns with the strategy of potentially reducing carbon emissions due to employee commutes, especially as the hybrid work model becomes the new norm moving forward. Now for this next slide, I want to present to you Glenn Reyes, a member of our team.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairperson Mahan, Mayor Liccardo, Vice Mayor Jones, committee members, and members of the public. I'm Glenn Reyes, the Enterprise Supervising Technology Analyst for the Information Technology Department. To address the initiative to reduce paper printouts and paper copies citywide, the city executed a project to replace all multifunction devices, or MFDs, in 2021. All MFDs were replaced through a new lease-based program. The first success identified through these replacement projects was through the total estimated annual savings. These savings are recognized through the 41% reduced lease costs and the reduced consumable costs by 53%, resulting in approximately $500,000 savings annually. In addition to the reduced costs, the new MFDs also introduced new technology features and functionality, such as required badge swiping that secured our printing, and different options to digitize our documents, such as digital fax and digital scan. These new tools eliminated approximately 50,000 abandoned prints and reduced total prints by approximately 21%. These printed paper reductions translate to 473 saved. In addition, the new line of MFDs are Energy Star and EPEAT Gold rated. EPEAT Gold is the highest rating for environmentally preferable electronic products. ITD also instituted business process automation in early 2020 to eliminate the need for paper form processes and digitize the approval workflow process through online forms and e-signature authorizations. So far, the BPA team has converted 54 paper forms into 31 workflows, resulting in a print reduction of approximately 91,000 pages in the past 2 years. Thank you.
The final initiative under the Green Technology Plan is to employ e-waste handling processes. IT was able to address this using the 3R model, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce, or source reduction, is accomplished by reducing the total number of devices that need to continue to remain plugged in, requiring power and adding to greenhouse gas emissions. This reduction was accomplished through the adoption of cloud computing. IT has also used city contracts not just to surplus old antiquated equipment, but to find opportunities to reuse old equipment by reprovisioning them to outside agencies that can continue to use the equipment. And then finally, we use the same contracts to ensure that the equipment that cannot be reused are recycled versus just landfilled. So how do we tie all these things together? As we tie the projects into each of the 4 green technology goals, we're able to see the impact of each of the initiatives. With our efforts to reduce equipment carbon impact, we were able to see a reduction in carbon emissions by approximately 1,813 metric tons and an annual power reduction of approximately 2.6 million kilowatt hours. And that's approximately the equivalent of 238 homes powered for an entire year. Through the MFD initiative, we were not only able to save $500,000 annually in costs, but we're also able to save total wood and consumables by 25%, or approximately 1 million sheets saved. We reduced the total quantity of core equipment by 44% and end user equipment by 12%, while repurposing legacy equipment for reuse. And we have successfully established an IT framework that supports the city's ability to allow the employee workforce to work from home and potentially reduce carbon emissions due to reduced commuting. And in conclusion, we just wanted to recognize that none of these efforts could have been possible without a committed, awesome technical team who have been able to not only think innovatively, but also to find opportunities to present better, more effective, and more efficient technologies, while at the same time addressing the dire need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And with that, we are now open to answering any questions or receiving any feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for that readout and report. We're going to go to the public first, and we're going to go to Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks for this item. Green sustainability is important. You have an item coming up at council next week that you have a big new contract with a fossil fuel Western Petroleum company, I think. It's important at this time with what's going on at the war in Ukraine that we're starting to really create a future of more U.S. fracked gas use. And that's going to be a big item in 2023. In the past few years, we've made important, ideas in how to address that and prepare for that, and just prepare for, our future of renewables that may need some fossil fuels sometimes. So what we're doing in California and the Bay Area is we're making very certain and very clear that fossil fuel use is on the very low end of, business practices and contracts. And I thank you for that. And a good luck in those continued good efforts towards that goal. That's a unique goal for California that I think we're setting an example for the country. And that will not make this new fracked gas push in this country from U.S. distributors. It'll lessen that, and that's helpful. So thank you. What else can I say about this item? You're working on sustainability items, and just thank you for that. It's always important to be considering our green things. And I guess this is time to remember in the mining of in the data storage concerns we'll be having on electric battery chargers. There's the mining of minerals for those battery chargers that we really have to be considering worker rights issues along with the mining and the future of battery chargers and the storage. Thanks.
Okay, Mayor.
Thank you, Chavi. Really appreciate great work that's been done by many teams across the workforce here. Super excited about the digital forms in particular, because it seems like there's never a city audit that goes by where we don't hear about how we're relying excessively on manual processes. So I just wanted to say, for whoever is getting us to 54 forms, that's fantastic. How do we multiply that by 10?
Yeah, great question, Mayor. There is an existing queue and a very high priority. Well, everyone would like to prioritize their forms to be actually converted into online digital. There's actually an intake process for each of those form requests, and they're working as rapidly as possible. There's been a significant amount of effort around the team to be able to start digitizing as many forms as possible.
Can you give me a sense about the size of the queue or the backlog? How far do we have to go? I see Rob's guy's hand up too, but go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
That's a great question. I can actually follow up on that information.
I can give you a little more insight. There's over 60 items that are in that request queue, and about 30 of them that are more vetted, Mayor. And you'll see, or in the previous presentation from Khaled on the IT strategic plan, it is one of the areas that we have to address long-term. We stole people during COVID from the financials team to really accelerate this, because when COVID hit, we had to. That team, Khaled and I have talked, we will put in some kind of submittals in a future budget year to build that team and to invest a little bit more so that they can handle more throughput and then start maintaining all the things that we convert. But right now, it is, for the most part, 2.5 people.
Okay. Khaled, I'm sorry, you had your hand up too.
Yeah, real quick. In addition, we're also trying to identify a simple PDF formats or templates that we can immediately automate. We don't have to go through elaborative workflow and design. So that's one of the initiatives we were trying to see how we can take 10 of them and try to do them as quickly as we can, because those are simply as attaching a PDF or a document or converting into a digital format without the complexity associated with the workflows and who needs to approve one. So there are a lot of things hopefully happening in the next 12 months, and we'll be happy to report back when we're done with it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And look, I know there's a lot of off-the-shelf tools. In fact, Rhonda on our team just recently created an electronic form for us a couple of weeks ago, and I was just impressed. I know that it's no small amount of time doing the work, but it seems like with all the tools out there, it's hopefully something we can continue to accelerate. So thank you for that. The other question I had was really around recycling electronic waste. Our Office Technology Innovation team has been working hard to boost this partnership with Revivin. And we've got now Adobe and ServiceNow and a couple other companies signed up. We've been able, in a relatively short period of time, I think we've generated about $150,000 by getting those companies to trade in their used laptops and so forth. And rather than us doing the recycling, we just give them to Revivin. Revivin pays us cash, and we can use that to support digital inclusion efforts. And the one client we don't have is the city of San Jose. So how do we get you guys signed up?
I can answer that one, Khaled. It threw at me first. Two things, Mayor. One is we actually have to change the policy on property disposal, because right now, by policy, it is handled as the same as other disposable items for the city. Number two is, when we've talked in the past with those folks, up until recently, our stuff was so old, almost no one wanted it. So now that we're a bit more current, at least some people will want the stuff that we would put into that cycle. And then Khaled,
you're a mini boss, and kids are still playing Pong and Pac-Man. You'd think somebody would use it for something. Okay.
But on your question, Khaled, myself, and Public Works, we have it on our list to actually talk about how we can update the policy to put more into that Revivin type partnership.
So not even Revivin loves our crappy stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that was before. It's better now. We just have to change it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Mayor. I just keep thinking about Space Invaders, so you're taking me back. Councilmember Foley.
That's aging you, Vice Mayor.
It is.
I can relate to both of those, Pong and Space Invaders. They were awesome back in the day. I really appreciate this report and the greening of our processes. But I feel the dollars that we're saving and related to paper copies is low, or there's a lot of opportunity here. And I speak as someone who is very dependent on my reams of paper. And in the last almost 3 years of COVID, I have gotten my own set of reams of paper coming in on a regular basis. And prior to the pandemic, I actually had my city council binder printed out page for page, which was yeah, I mean, you can imagine huge. Then when I came inside our home and had to do the printing out of the binder myself, I thought, well, this is ridiculous. Why am I having my staff spend, first of all the hours involved in printing it, but also the printing and waste of the paper that I'm not going to use and retain. I do happen to be someone who retains a lot of paper documents. It's just easier for me to look at. So the question I have is, it's not just this creating documents online that are easier to use that way, but it's also printing out information that we need to then access and use later. And how can we make it easier for folks like me who are really paper dependent, but who'd really like to convert to another way, but I need to know that I can have access to the same information. So there's some training and education that goes on. And it's not just me. I'm sure there's a lot of other Luddites, I'll call them, in the city of San Jose who prefer their paper. I mean, if you saw my office, you'd see all my files that are paper, and I've got everything pretty much organized. So 500,000 seems low. It seems like that's a good number and a good place to start, but it seems like we could save a lot more money if we could train a little bit more and in a simple way, get someone like me to use the technology better, that I don't have to print out everything that I need. So how do we resolve that? Ed, how are you gonna convert me to someone who lives in the 21st century?
Yeah, you know, that's a really, really good question. I would say there's two approaches that come off the top of my head in terms of strategies that we could potentially employ. The first thing is actually, as you sort of alluded to, shifting the cultural norm. And I want to say there are some controls that the new printers actually have that enforce, okay, you know what, if you're going to print something out, you actually have to approach the device and you have to make sure to pick up your paperwork. Because I think oftentimes people will print something out and they'll forget that it was there. Yep. It gets put to the side and it gets discarded. So certain controls allow for that ability to eliminate the forgotten printouts. The second thing that the city is looking to potentially pursue is exactly what you just said. So let me confess, I'm kind of a paper person too. I like reading books. I don't like reading things online, but honestly speaking, it's because of the media that is being used in order to actually access those. I don't like sitting in front of a laptop or lie on my back with a laptop on top of my head. So we're moving towards potentially employing things like iPad programs where we can potentially use things like mobile devices that make reading these types of documents a lot more simpler. And again, the storage of all of the digital forms of those, the documentation that we're looking to continue to maintain, that they're more easily accessible through our productivity and collaboration platforms. So those are the two immediate things that I can think of off the top of my head.
And what about training so that we can use some of the tools we already have, and that would enable us to rely on the technology we'd have and not the printed paper that we have in front of us. I love a good book too. You're not going to see me reading from e-Nook. I need the book in my hand. I want to see my success and smell the book. That feels good. That is success to me. But there are other opportunities that I don't need the book. I could highlight online if I knew how to do it in an easy way, and I don't. I'm not unique. I don't think. I think there's a lot of people who act like that. So, can we include education in a component and make it anonymous so that some of us may be embarrassed to be trained, but maybe even give us an incentive to have the training and reduce the amount of paper we're using in our office.
Absolutely. So one of the initiatives that IT is actually going to be focusing on in this next year is a better training platform. We're actually developing we're in the process of strategizing and designing and developing a more simply accessible, say, a SharePoint site that allows for people to have a library of training opportunities, not just around the technology requirements in terms of the day-to-day tech, but I think that's a great suggestion. We can absolutely leverage some of the available webinars, available online portals, even YouTube videos that we could potentially post, so that, to your point, people can anonymously go there at their leisure and be able to actually access those training opportunities. Glenn, I know Glenn is actually in the process of developing that portal. Glenn, did you want to share a little more about that?
Yeah, so we actually have, for the MFDs, we already have a portal. And a lot of the resources that we also have is, Pam, I think you expressed that you don't want to print all the time. But in the MFDs also, we have scanning capabilities. So you can scan it to your OneDrive or scan it to your email. So best if you scan it to OneDrive, that you can access it anytime, anywhere. If you want to access it on a phone, if you have OneDrive on your phone, you can access that document and you can read it from there as well. But definitely, like what Ed mentioned too, we're focusing on that to provide more training, more videos. And definitely on this one, we also included on some of our MFDs, there's a QR code that you can just snap and see how you scan, how you fax, how you do this and do that. That would help you out. But definitely our customer care, we're here as well. We're here for you and everyone else. If you do need any help, give us a call, or you can also let me know.
Glenn, I know the IT department has some of the best customer service of any department in our city. And that may be challenging to some of the other departments who are listening into there, but IT is always there for all of us. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I thank you for answering my questions. It looks like Rob has something to say.
Yeah, Councilmember, it's actually on the right track, because we, in 2017, it's long enough ago now that people probably forgot, but we drafted actually a policy and implementation for exactly what you're talking about. It's not something where we can just put an MFD out. It's actually a matter of practice and processes. So what that was a potential policy statement from council saying we will go electronic first, and from the city manager, and then say that with that lean, we then have a couple things we put in place. One is a tablet fund where we do, like, every 2 to 3 years, a reimbursement tech fund, so that we could put those things in people's hands. And then we would, by policy, say no more printing general administrative materials. You read them online, you read them on that device, and then you just stop printing by habit. And from there, if you want to print it, you have the file and you can do so, but then you see the minimization. It's always fallen below, sorry, 2 more things. One was also a markup app, that here's a couple tools that will teach people how to use so that they can mark things and search things very quickly rather than just scanning to a point in a book. But that would allow them, and then also Glenn's team, to be able to just support 1 or 2 applications rather than whatever people's preferences would be. And then the very last thing is just tracking the results and saying, here's the impact that we're making towards our climate goals. It's never risen to the top. We've said we have to replace the MFDs because they're so flipping old. We always had emergencies, disasters, major projects above, but it's still in queue there. And based on your feedback, we'll take this as an action item to review it with the team and see if now might be the time where we want to make that real lean and investment in, and saying we'll be an electronic first organization.
Great. I love all of that. Thank you so much for your responses and your moving forward to having us remove our dependence on fossil fuels and also paper, and even cutting down more trees for the paper that I need. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. That's it for me, Chair.
All
But
right.
I'll move acceptance of the report.
All right, can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thanks, Sam. So we have a motion and a second. I don't see any other hands raised, so we're gonna go to a roll call vote.
Foley,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo,
Aye.
Mahan. Okay, thank you.
All right, motion passes. All right, we're on to open forum. And first speaker is Blair, go ahead, Blair.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. Thanks for the meeting today. It was a June meeting. It's kind of simple and basic, and hopefully it can be a good meeting to face ourselves how we work in our future. Thank you. I wanted to quickly go over, I don't know, just kind of my talking points at open public comment time. Good luck in how we can work towards a more community-minded process for the future of Ukraine. I think if we think of community first for the future of Ukraine issues, and kind of what we're doing here in the Bay Area around, ideas of reimagine and health and human services and racial equity, those three things are really important to the future of the Ukraine area and their local communities. I think we can do that work now towards the concepts of peace. That good luck how we can do that. And the other item that's of interest to me is that we've been doing some interesting work to address gun issues, I think, here in San Jose the past few years. And I just want to thank yourselves again for that, because I think we have good reference points for what's going on in Texas right now. There's a upcoming mayor's conference in Reno that I think can be a really important debate that we can offer the future of that sort of meeting about what exactly we're trying to do to address these sort of things. And I think we have a leg up on what states of Texas are trying to do with this sort of issue. I think we're trying to ask for what is good practices, not just the open liberalness of letting everything go. Texas is going to have 20 years now they're going to have to tame their deaths and harm from guns, where we're doing that now. So good luck with that, and good luck how we can just. I'm just hopeful that kids can be open to all the good choices that are available. That's available to everyone that we can work on here in the Bay Area at this time. Thank you.
All right, Molly.
Hi, this is Molly Macleod, and I am home caring for a sick family member, and appreciate participating in this. The thing about disability is we never know when it'll strike. Nobody is, health is going to be perfect for their entire life, and about 20% of the US population is disabled. So what does that mean? With an electronic first organization, which I am in support of the goal that Rob made, and that folks have talked about, the business process automation, it's going to be really important that we get good at the basics. For example, in council offices, are you using the Microsoft accessibility checker on every document in your emails? It's right there built in. Thinking about that makes a difference for our mindset. Similarly, Accessible Social is a website that's fabulous on social media, making sure that the communications that are sent out from local government are available to everybody. So very important. And this has got to be part of the procurement process. While I'm thrilled to hear that Urban Logic is going to be launching on Monday, accessibility, coming together with a VPAT, having a team together, really that's the city of San Jose that's supposed to be setting those expectations. I went to a fabulous Section 508 training, federal government free, on how to do accessible data visualizations. Similarly, when it comes to Simply Gov, the business process automation, that company also doesn't have a robust accessibility statement and VPATs that are available, in contrast to some of the other products. So let's make sure we're both money smart as well as accessible to everybody, because that's how we make a smarter city. So thanks so much for the topic and the opportunity to mention that. Also important for scannable PDFs, got to be accessible. Thanks.
Thank you, Molly. That's it for public speakers. So on behalf of our chair, I will call.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
I appreciate the thumbs up.
All right. Take care. Bye, everyone.